Dear student, today we are going to discuss about the movement of women, that is women movement, because we know that women is placed in lower strata of the society. Hence it is most important topic for a student of sociology that we must know about the women movement. In this discussion, first we define what movement is, and then we classify the whole movement into three different phases. The first phase, that is social reform movement, national movement and social reform, laws in colonial period, that is 1850 to 1915. The second phase we classified on the basis of the post colonial period, that is women's movement in the post colonial period, that is 1915 to 1947 before independence. And the phase third is classified according to the movement by women after independence, that is the women movement in India since 1947 till now. And last we summarize our whole discussion in few lines, what movement is and why women started this type of movement. When we talk about the status of women, we know that the status of women is lower in India also. Hence they have to fight for their status, and they started movement in post colonial period. Whenever we want to think about the women's movement, many questions arise in front of us. Consider the women of which era, that is post colonial or pre colonial, pre independence or post independence. What conditions of women should be considered? Consider the women in which society, that is higher society or lower society, modern society or traditional society. Similarly, think about the status and role of women in which system, or whether women have ever been independent. Many such questions arise in our mind, and they also ask us to answer these questions. This is the background of status of women. Our entire social system has been making women helpless and pitiable. Right from childhood, we have put this mantra or words in the ear of a girl, that girl is someone else's property. She has to go to others' house. How important are the words of the French writer Simone de Beauvoir here? A woman is not born, but is made. At the time of birth, she is a biological human being, but in the society, she learns so many things in the process of socialization. This statement was true yesterday and is true even today. This male dominated society has made her like this for centuries. She was burning inside against the tortures, atrocities, unhappy, suffering life of women society. A volcano does not erupt in a day. Similarly, it takes years for any movement or revolution, rebellion to take birth. Ramdhari Singh Dinkar says that rebellion or revolution is not such a thing which explodes suddenly. It will take time. The wound keeps ripening for a long time before its burst. Thoughts too pervade the semi-awakened station until the first year of standing up to the challenge. This is the situation analyzed by Ramdhari Singh Dinkar. Similarly, we know that Yatri Narastu Pujante Ramante Tatra Devta, this was the situation in post-Vedic period. But what situation is in Mughal period or in British period? Similarly, we can say in this context, J. Friedman is of the opinion that feminism cannot be defined, but its characteristics can be highlighted. The main fact is that the low status of women in the society is due to gender discrimination. This is a social phenomena. At the time of birth, both are equal, but due to the socialization or the societal norms, the gender discrimination develop in the society. That's why women has raised their voice that change is necessary in their social, economic, political or cultural system. Because gender is a social phenomena, while sex is a biological phenomena. The echo of this type of change has always been present in the background of the women's movement. All due to this situation, women has to fight for her status. In the beginning, this spark which should have been there for the movement was lacking in the women's consciousness because it was imprisoned within the four wall. In the absence of social consciousness and education, for hundreds of years, Indian women remained object of enjoyment for men and feudal society, and she yearned for social justice. Fight for social justice, fight for empowerment. During the colonial period, women movements in India arose out of the historical condition and social environment similar to the social reform movement of the earlier 19th century, which gave rise to new thinking about various social institutions, practices and social reform laws. The ideological and social content of women's movement changed from time to time. The movement in its entirety can be divided into three distinct phases. We can divide the whole movement into three phases, that is pre-colonial, post-colonial or and after independence. The phase first is social reform movement. Many social reformers started movement for women. That movement was known as the social reform movement, in which special or social reform laws in colonial period, that is 1850 to 1950. Women's movement supported by men. Second phase is active participation in national movement, that is 1950 to 1947. And phase third is the women's movement in India since 1947 till now. After independence, women started movement for upliftment of her position in the society. When we talk about phase first, the Indian women's movement began in the 19th century with enormous efforts by social reformers. In the Western world, the late 19th century and early 20th century were referred to as the phase of the first wave of the feminism. The first phase of feminism focused on the legal rights of women. In India, the same period was a reform phase, during which Indian reformers attempted to end practices such as sati pratha, female infanticide and prohibition of widow remarriage. Sati pratha was there, female infanticide was there, prohibition of widow remarriage, child marriages practices were prevailing in ancient society. Indian feminist critics, however, point to the fact that these efforts were mostly led by men. Indian feminist and founder of Bharat Stri Mandal Sarla Devi Chaudhrani criticized these so-called reformers who advertised themselves as champion of the weaker sex and only used topics such as equal opportunity for women, women's education and women's emancipation as pet subject. In fact, this is a critical approach and sociologists can evaluate it in two ways: women's movement by men and women's movement by women. Various women's organizations emerged from the first decade of the 20th century, such as the Bharat Stri Mahamandal 1910, Women's Indian Association 1917, Women's Samiti formed as some town of Bengal like Birbhum 1916, Sultanpur 1917, Rampurat 1980 and Bankura 1921, National Council of Women in India 1925 and All India Women's Conference 1926. In the late 19th and earlier 20th century, Indian social reformers played an important role in the movements for the emancipation of women, which sought legal protection for women against ill treatment and cruelty in the name of religion, like Sati Pratha, like widow remarriage, like child marriage, etc. Organizations like Brahm Samaj, Prarthana Samaj, and Arya Samaj exerted a great influence on the thought of Indian intellectuals through their social reform activities. They were known as the social reformers. The Arya Samaj talked about the equality of all human beings, and its ideals were based on the Vedas. Maharshi Dayanand Saraswati, the founder of Arya Samaj, gave the slogan, "Go back to Vedas," expressed the importance of Vedic education and promoted women's education. He opposed child marriage and also advocated the marriage of widow remarriage and child marriage. The Brahm Samaj was founded by Raja Ram Mohan Roy. It was also a reform movement that advocated education for both men and women, supported the right of women to choose their own spouses, and opposed the practice of sati and child marriage. The Prarthana Sabha similarly advocated women's education, supported widow remarriage, and opposed child marriage. Similarly, Satya Sodhak Samaj, which was founded by Jyotirao Phule, advocated the education of girls from the oppressed classes. Savitribai Phule, wife of Jyotirao Phule, actively worked with him in his work to bring about social reform. Along with men, among the social reformers, many women activists made substantial efforts and contributed to the upliftment of women, including the Maharani of Travancore, who opened the first girls' school. Pandit Ramabai opened the first homecoming school for widows called Sarda Sabha. Francia Sorabji opened 3 girls' schools along with these women's leaders. There are many other prominent leaders like Sarla Devi Chaudhrani, Anandi Bai Joshi, Savitri Bai Phule, Saroj Nalini Datta, Sarojini Naidu, who played an important role in women's upliftment. When we talk about the first phase, that was the reformer phase, in which certain social reformers came forward and feel that women should be uplifted from the lower to higher position. Similarly, in the second phase, under the influence of first wave of feminism, many women's organizations emerged and started working for the empowerment of women. This is the second phase after reform movement. It was a scenario that showcased women activism for women. So women started movement for women's. After 1917, many women's organizations were established. In 1970, Women's India Association was established. The All India Women's Conference was also established in 1927, and the National Council for Women in India was established in 1925. A women's university was established and named as Srimati Nathibai Damodar Thakurse Women's University. This was the first feminist wave under which a large number of women were influenced to join women's organizations, which later expanded their activities to participate in India's struggle for independence from British rule. Some scholars claim that the independence movement helped women in their liberation struggle, as feminism and nationalism were intertwined. It means two types of scenario came out. One is women started their organization for women's, and second, they started movement for the independence of India from the British rule. Significantly, the participation of women in the nationalist movement was growing simultaneously, and some women leaders played an important role in creating and maintaining social and political consciousness among women. This type of movement helps women for upliftment of their position and help to establish certain organizations to initiate these types of situation in the society. In fact, the social reform movement can also be said to have played an important role in creating socio-political consciousness among women, which in turn inspired them to participate in the nationalist movement for independence from British rule. In this regard, feminism and reformism were closely related to each other. When Mahatma Gandhi entered the Indian independence movement, he began to focus on the participation of women. He was determined to dignify the status of women and establish their independence to play the same role as men in the society. Thousands of women participated in Quit India movement, civil disobedience movement and non-cooperative or non-cooperation movement. Women who participated in the freedom struggle participated in picketing and spinning the weaving of khadi cloth to protest the use of imported cloth. The freedom movements brought awareness among Indian women about the need for independence and further awareness of their rights. It means many women participated in national movement and they helped men for independence from the British rule. Constructive programs were initiated to fight for the autonomy and dignity of women. Why women started this type of movement? Because they want the autonomy in the society and they want to enhance their position. They want to achieve the dignity position in the society. Their collective consciousness strengthened their confidence and pride increased, and after independence women finally got equal rights under the constitution. For this type of movement, ultimately women achieved the target, that is they got finally the equal rights under the constitution as men has. The third phase is after independence. There was a dramatic change in feminist ideology after 1947, when women finally got legal rights and protection and status as citizen equal to men in all respect. They got the equal opportunity as men has. Several new laws were enacted during this period to protect and strengthen the rights of women in the country, including the Hindu Succession Act 1956, Hindu Minority and Guardian Act 1956, Dowry Prohibition Act 1961, Maternity Benefits Act 1961, similarly Special Hindu Marriage Act 1954, Hindu Marriage Act 1955, etc. These are the laws enacted in the constitution for the upliftment of the women. Most of the rights of women in India were given legal status in and around 1961. That is prohibition of dowry, restriction of child marriage, reinstatement of child marriage. In the context of the feminist movement, the period from 1960 to 1990 is regarded as the phase of the second wave of feminism globally. The second wave of feminism was radical. In this phase, sexuality and reproductive rights were major issues, and much of the movement's energy was focused on passing the Equal Rights Amendment in the Constitution, guaranteeing social equality regardless of gender. Why discrimination is there? Both are equal, hence they both are equal in the eyes of Constitution. Discussing Phillips Melanie's views, Rekha Pandey states that if first wave feminism focused on absolute rights such as suffrage, second wave feminism is largely concerned with other issues of equality such as the end of discrimination. Constitutional and legal provisions were made to enable and accelerate the empowerment of women and to provide them equal opportunity for economic development and employment. It means in the eyes of Constitution, both are equal, both have equal opportunities either in social or legal or economic or political or in any field. Both are treated equal. Moreover, the previous 5-year plans also focused on the development, independence and equality of women. No discrimination on the basis of sex was one of the clauses of the directive principles of Indian Constitution. Furthermore, in fact, discrimination was prevalent and intimidated women in both public and private spaces, including homes. Thus, the women's movement of India firmly established itself in the Indian social and political spheres. M. Krishna Raj noted that the number of political organizations in the women's movement in 1970 was higher than before, but they became inactive around this time. A resilient feature called the Six Sisters played a key role in getting the Indian government to ratify the Convention Against All Sort of Discrimination Against Women passed by the United Nations. It also oversaw the establishment of a representative National Commission for Women and state level commission for women. We know that in this phase many legal provision has been made by the independent India, like 1954 Special Hindu Marriage Act, 1955 Hindu Marriage Act, in which they got the opportunity for divorce. Before independence, Sharda Act was enacted to reinstate the child marriage in the society. After independence, equal rights has been enacted by the law in the Constitution for upliftment of women, for benefit of the women, and similarly MTP, Equal Remuneration Act 1976, etc. has been enacted for the upliftment of the women. The government did not accept the women's organization plea to give statutory power to these commissions to prosecute and not just register complaints. The year 1975 was declared by the United Nations as the International Women's Year because of the hard work of strong women leaders around the world who fought tirelessly to make women aware of their rights and free them from poverty and slavery. Similarly, in 1990, United Nations declared this decade as International Women's Decade for consciousness and for awareness of women. But so far, it is all a work in progress, as most of the programs launched by various governments for the upliftment of women were seen as mere symbolism, as they did not bring any concrete benefits to the women on the ground. Though International Women's Years and International Women's Decade has been started, but no good result came out. Hence, women continue to be controlled by the invisible forces blessed by patriarchy, where women are systematically controlled and not allowed to pursue their goals freely, even if they are rich, successful and hold substantial power, all earned on the basis of their own merits and skill, especially in the corporate sectors. Several women's organizations emerged in India after the 1970s that fought for the welfare, safety and equality of women in society, including the movements of women's rights and anti-rape and anti-sexual harassment movement, the labor movement, the movement of women's education and so on. Movements against socio-legal, socio-religious evils, Progressive Women's Organization Forum Against Rape, Saheli Asmita, Mahila Samta Sainik Dal of Maharashtra, Self-Employment Women's Association in Gujarat, Action India, Women's Dakshta Samiti, Jyotish Sangh, etc. are some of the major organizations that work for the rights of women, equality, liberation and upliftment. This type of organization has been established for equity, for liberation and for upliftment of women in the society. All these groups have raised various issues like atrocities against women. They issue pamphlet, collect signature in support of demands, organize protest rallies, hold demonstration to mobilize public opinion, etc. They also organize street meeting, street plays and songs and posters exhibition. They also bring out feminist magazines to raise awareness among women. These movements have also given rise to special interest group involved in anti-dowry and anti-rape campaign. In relation to the women's movement, it can be said that while these movements have helped in progressing the economic, social and political status of women, there has also been a significant reduction in women's exploitation, oppression and atrocities. It is also said that the way incidents of rape has increased, there is a stigma for the male society. Poor, backward Dalit women are being tortured even today. In a country which is claiming to be a progressive and developing country, kidnapping, rape and murder are also happening there. The entire women movement is a movement born of women's consciousness which stand strongly against the exploitation, oppression, injustice, etc. of women in the society. She has no objection to the male society. If there is opposition, then it is against social evils and patriarchal society. There is opposition to feudal ideology and capitalist mentality. The women's movement has also stood against this corrupt and moral system. This type of situation developed in the society, hence they come forward and started their organization for the awareness, for the consciousness, for the upliftment, for the justice, etc. To this type of movements started in India also. We can summarize our whole discussion that if we analyze the entire women's movement, we come to the conclusion that where the women's movements has stood against the founding values, customs, traditions, superstitions, conservatism, structure of family, women are given a secondary status in the society and family. They have the secondary status in the society. There were agitations against giving place. The customs that fettered the feet of the women were kept as slave. Agitations were also launched against the orthodox religious superstitions of this male society, tyranny, oppression, incest that she was a victim of. Men were the first to protest against such social evils such as Sati Pratha, abolition of Sati Pratha, child marriage, dowry and polygamy. Women should be educated, both men and women contribute in this field. In the 20th century, by establishing many women's organizations, councils, committees, women were introduced to the serious problems of their own society, prepared them to unite and fight for social justice, equality, freedom. Therefore, there have been many women's movement in the late 19th century and earlier 20th century. This type of situation developed in the society for the awareness, for the consciousness among the women, so that they can achieve their goal, they can achieve the higher status and as men has in the society. They want justice, they want to abolish child marriage, they want to abolish infanticide, and even today feticide is there. They want to control feticide in the society and they want legal justice. Hence, in the constitution there have been so many laws enacted by the Indian government after independence, so that in the constitution and with the help of constitution they uplift their position in the society.